Hello friends, we are live for our August overview. I'm going to give the camera a second to get going so we can all hop on here on the chat so I can get my own video up. Hello and welcome. If you are here, go ahead and say hello in the chat box. All right, there we are. I see myself, which means we are live. Welcome again to our August overview. I'm so excited to be here today. Goodness, can you believe this is the last monthly overview of the year? I can hardly believe it. Hello, friends. So fun to see some familiar faces. Hello. Make sure if you're already on, I always love to hear just a little thumbs up to make sure you can see me and hear me all good before I really start getting into it. But it's so good to see you all. Lots of great familiar faces already. Welcome again to our August overview. If you are just joining, I have so much to go over today. This is going to be probably a longer live stream because I not only have announcements, we're going to do trivia. We're of course going to go all the way through August, but this is our spoiler live stream and I have so much to unpack and prepare you all for that last week and that last story. And then we'll be able to share a little bit about what is next. My goodness. So hello everyone. I can't believe it's going to be, it's been a whole year of live streams. I have been live now almost 20 times in the last year for you guys, and I'm so excited to be leaving behind a lovely replay library for you all for next year. Someone says, spill the tea. Yes, I'm so excited to share what is upcoming in the last story and beyond. It is going to be really fun to dive in, have some tissues handy. I know, I can't believe it, but you won't get rid of me that quick. Don't worry, I have some more details coming at the end of this as far as what is next for August and beyond and all of next year, what you can expect, how support will continue, all of those lovely things. So hello again. We have a great turnout so far. So glad you are all here to join me. Having you all live really just makes this fun, and I love getting to connect with you all and support you all through, your last month of summer curriculum. It has been so fun to see all of you enjoying summer curriculum so far. An amazing veggie boats, by the way, amazing projects. Always love to see how your children are enjoying everything. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to start diving in because, as I mentioned, we have a lot to cover. So I'm going to start with announcements. I have lots of announcements for you because, mark your calendars, we have a back to school sale happening Monday, August 3rd. That will launch 8 a.m. Central Time, and we have a lot of exciting things. This is going to be a perfect time to stock up on anything you need restocked and some new products coming on that August 3rd back to school sale. Very excited for that. So it will be 10% off the entire site. I believe free shipping over orders over $250. And we will have some new back to school bundles. And we have some exciting new products that I'm so excited to share with you. I think you are all going to be very excited for these. So some new products coming August 3rd. Finally, we will have the long-awaited wall calendar for all of you. Now that Nathaniel has finally completed one beautiful chalkboard for each month of the year, yes, we will finally have a wall calendar using those beautiful chalkboard images for each month and a beautiful hanging wall calendar. So that will be for launching on August 3rd with a back to school sale. Very excited for that. We also, one thing that I've been working on for a little while that I'm really excited to announce is that we will also be launching autumn recipe cards. So I know many of you have been enjoying your recipes within your books, but those are big, beautiful books. And sometimes in a kitchen with messy hands, you're wanting some way to more conveniently use those recipes. So we're launching autumn recipe cards. And of course, that will be the first of 4 collections of recipe cards that we will be launching. So those will be really, really fun. And we will also have blank packs of recipe cards as well if you want to add on. So you can write in your own autumn recipes to go with those curriculum recipes. So really excited for Wondergarten wall calendar and autumn recipe cards. We also have some weekly theme magnets in the works. A Hamilton tote will be joining the tote collection. So a few other lovely fun things as well as some additional restocks. Kelly, sounds like someone is working hard on getting the video on. I think we're all good for everyone else. Will the cards be waterproof-ish? Yes, they will be coated. They're nice and thick. I think they will hold up beautifully. That was something that was really important to make sure that they will hold up well for little hands and spills. They're not completely like laminated, but they will hold up pretty well for you. So I think you'll love those. Those will be 4x6 cards, and they're really, really fun. So, and it will include all of your gluten-free, dairy-free adaptations in that pack. So any allergen families will be good to go with that pack. Of course, then once you get those, you can kind of curate the order. And I think they're going to be so handy. I'm even excited for them for my own kitchen. So really, really excited about the back to school sale and some new products there. So mark your calendars, August 3rd, 10% off, new bundles, new restocks, new products, lots of other fun things happening. Now, some other products that I want to kind of share some announcements in the coming soon but TBD category. We do have some other things in the works that I know many of you have been waiting for. So mugs, yes, the coveted mugs are in the works and within a restock. But those won't make it quite for that back to school sale. Their estimate that we got was maybe mid to late August. So hopefully by September 1st, and we did order a larger quantity. We know those sold out way quicker than we expected last time. So we are excited to get those restocked in a little bigger quantity so that hopefully everyone who wants one can get them, because that is our goal. You guys surprised us last time. So mugs will hopefully be restocked by September 1st. But again, probably won't make it before that back to school sale in August, but they're coming. I'm gonna take a little sip of water. Already lots of talking. And hello, few new friends. Recipe cards are going to be amazing. Excited that you guys are excited for that. Another few things that are in the works, restocks. I know if you've had questions on puppets. I know Eliza is out of stock. A puppet restock is also in the works, but those do take longer. So we are anticipating those will probably be restocked more around Black Friday. So kind of pin that if you are wanting an Eliza puppet or any of the other really popular puppets, but that is happening. Now, all of these are in the works TBD. Yoto, we have some new updates regarding Yoto, which I am very excited for. We do have not only a restock of our original autumn, winter, spring songs cards, we also do have songs of summer in the works as well. And the big announcement there is that we were able to expand to 2 more territories. So when those stock on the sites, they will also be available on the UK Yoto site and the Canada Yoto site. So we are really excited to get to 2 more territories. We sadly weren't quite able to also do EU and Australia, so hang on tight. We're hoping by the next restock we can get to those final 2 territories. But for Canadian friends and anyone in the UK, you can look forward to all 4 seasons of our songs on Yoto launching soon. The production and stocking is in their hands there, so it'll kind of be a surprise to us as well when those get on their site. So we'll keep you posted once we know, but those are in stock. Autumn, winter, spring, and summer songs will be on the US Yoto store, UK Yoto store, and Canada Yoto store, hopefully before too long. So we are very, very excited for everyone for Yoto expanding. And another Yoto announcement is in September, we will actually be an official Yoto podcast partner. So if you've been enjoying our podcast, I know there are ways to kind of get it streamed through your Yoto, but we will actually be an official Yoto podcast partner. So that'll make it easier for you to actually find the Gnomes of Wondergarten podcast through your Yoto app thing or whatever. She'll make it easier for you to enjoy those stories on your Yoto. We do eventually hope to get those stories as cards, but of course things take time. But in the meantime, we're really excited to be able to be an official Yoto podcast partner so that you can enjoy those stories through your Yoto card a little more easily. And all right, so some great excited for Yoto. And I just answered that Yoto question, yo-yo cards. I'm gonna take another sip of water, and then I have more things to tell you all about. All right, one more product-related announcement in the works, Sarah's Silks. I know you all have a lot of questions on if we are restocking all of those beautiful silks. The plan is, yes, to hopefully at least restock each of the monthly silks at least one more time, including the silks that haven't been in production, or the months that haven't been in production on silks yet, like August and July and May. So we are hopeful to do that through the course of next year, but details of that are not in place yet. So we will keep you posted on that. That's kind of unfolding as far as what that will look like, what timing that will be, all of those details. But I did want to let you know that we are thinking about it, and we are hoping to be able to restock each of those months and make new silks for the 3 months that haven't made it to silks yet. All right. Okay, so that is all of my product announcements. Lots of new, really exciting things coming. Now, another big announcement this week that is really exciting is our grades test group. Rachel has been working so hard, and she has done such an incredible job. And as of this week, it is like already drafted. We just have to go through the process of adding it to your plan. As of this week, probably be at least by end of day tomorrow, you will be able to see autumn content for not only grades 1 through 3, but also a sample of our bridge curriculum, which is kind of designed to be a bridge between early childhood and first grade with some really introductory letter formations and beginning reading and writing and all of that. So we will have bridge and grades 1 and 2 and 3 autumn content will be available in our $25 grades curriculum test group, which we're so excited for. And if you were there last year, we did change the format this time, so they are in PDFs. It's going to be so much easier for you to be able to use, print, and use as you need. And we kind of restructured just how we're getting this information to you to make it way more user-friendly, so you really feel like you're using more of a complete curriculum. Of course, it is a test group, and we always love feedback. It is very malleable at this point. So this will be year two for grade 1 and year 1 for grades 2 and 3. And we're really, really excited to show you what Rachel has been working on, and she's done a really incredible job spearheading through all of those grades. So if you are interested, that grades curriculum test group, again, is $25 a month to join. I know joining can be a little bit of a tricky process here, but just a reminder in general, on the left side of you, if you're looking at your app, on the left side in that navigation panel, if you press the home button on your app, that'll pop up, or if you're in a browser, it should be on the left side there. Up in the welcome section, we have our community plan guide. If you click that, that is kind of our standing place for you to look through all the different links for all the different plans we have available. Because most of you are on the free plan, but we have sliding scale plans. If you would like to just support us and help keep the app free for everyone else, we have that $25 test group, which you'd be able to link and sign up for there. And then of course we have our ambassador levels if you really want to come behind the scenes. The ambassador levels also get you access to the test group, so you'll get to see everything there as well. The only tricky caveat is that you do have to sign up in a browser, not the app, but it can be a mobile browser. So if you find that link, open it up in the browser, sign up there, and when you log back in your app, you should be good to go. Of course, reach out to Wondergarten team for any details, but that is one way you can find that in the community plan guide. Also, if you scroll through that navigation and see grade 1 testing, you should be able to see those spaces once we make them live. And if you click that, it should prompt you to join that plan to be able to see what's in there. So I hope that helps everyone navigate. I know it's a new app for a lot of you. All right, so we are so thrilled to have that in there, and I think everyone's going to be so excited to dive in. So it really widens our range of older siblings and kids growing up with Wondergarten, which is really, really exciting. Another thing I wanted to remind everyone, especially as we're coming up on the new school year very soon, is our commercial licensing program. So if you are hoping to use our curriculum in a business or commercial setting for a preschool or a group of children, we do have commercial licensing available. You can select how many children you'll be using our curriculum for and get a license. And we have a directory of officially licensed partners. So if you are also looking for a place to be able to enroll your child who is using the Wondergarten curriculum as an officially licensed partner, take a look at our directory. We have a few little preschools and little programs there that you can look for. And of course, if you're wanting to start one, we'd love to chat. You can send an email to info@wondergarten.net or message Wondergarten team. Jamie helps handle that. She was one of our first original commercial partners back in our test group, so she knows the ropes and can absolutely assist you. But we are so excited about the commercial licensing program to be able to get into some programs and the directory, especially so you can see where those are. And of course, if you're hoping to open up something, or if you already are and would like to use the Wondergarten curriculum in your program, that is available for you as well. All right. Lots of updates, lots of announcements. Any quick questions on anything I just blew through? If you watch late, of course, replay will be up soon. I'm going to take a little sip of water before I already flip to my next page of notes. This is a three note page, a live stream we have today. All right, so recap. Back to school sale August 3rd. New products, some restocks. Other products are in the works. Those are kind of TBD. Grades curriculum, bridge through grade 3 is going to be up within the next few days. And we're so excited to have that available in our commercial licensing. Someone's asking about instrumental albums. TBD on that as well. Of course, we always have lots happening and coming in the realm of music. So yes, eventually we will get to that. We do have more plans for lots more music albums and all that good stuff, but we'll save those announcements for another day. Alrighty, so now we are going to, yes. Yes, okay, we're gonna do a little pause. We're going to do a little video check here to make sure we're all recording before we plug it in. And monthly kits will be restocked. Yes, so if you are a monthly kit subscriber, those will be constantly restocked through the next year. So you can absolutely, yes, thank you, Josiah. Shout out to Josiah, by the way, everyone, our amazing video guy, keeps us all rolling. Yes, curriculum kits will be restocked and you can sign up at any time if you want to join or if you want to update your kit size for the next year, you can do that. But those will keep rolling through September and all the way through the next year. Someone's excited about more music albums. Yay! Got some thank you, Josiah's. Woohoo! Okay, we're good to go? Good to go? All right. Amazing. Okay. Right, so, okay, here we go. I'm going to start with some trivia before we head into our August. And will the build your own kit stuff be restocked as well? Yes, yes. We do always prioritize stocking our supply kit, the subscription kits. So sometimes the build your own kits do get out of stock because we're prioritizing all those materials for our subscribers. But we do also try to keep everything as much in stock as possible. So about a month ahead is when things get nicely restocked for those. All right, so some Wondergarten trivia. First question, if you think back all the way back to the beginning of the year, what was the first meal that Hamilton ever had at Wondergarten? Who remembers? Bread. Amanda got it. Quick. Good. Bread. Winner to Amanda. Congratulations. Quick on the keyboard. Woohoo! But yes, bread was his very first, of course, for Bread Week, which will be back around before you know it. Congrats, Amanda. Nice little $5 gift card for you. Okay, our second, this is a spring question. How many baby robins were born in nesting week? 4. Ashton got it. We had 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5. It was 4. Ashton got the first correct answer. Congratulations, Ashton. There was 4 little baby robins born in nesting week. And this final question is a summer question. So it is recent, but it is a challenge. So let's see. Who was the first fairy to sing to Tourmaline when she was eating the green strawberries in Strawberry Week? The first one to sing to her. Do we remember? Not a tree. Nope. Keep guessing. Amber. Kelly got it. Yes, Amber. It was Amber who was the first. She sings the first verse in Little Tourmaline. Of course, Amber is so beautifully voiced by Geneva Brunner, Catherine's youngest daughter. Catherine and Kiara voice Amber and Amethyst in our stories and our songs, and they are just incredible girls, incredible musicians with incredible voices. So we're so grateful for them. So yes, congratulations, Kelly, for getting Amber, the first fairy to sing to Tourmaline as she ate all those green strawberries. Very nice. Well done, Kelly. Claire or Jamie will follow up with you. Very fun. Okay. So we're going to get into it. All right. So I'm going to kind of go through the first 3 weeks as normal. But then, of course, week 4 is a bit of a different week. So I'm going to go through that in a little more depth, a little more detail, and we will go through and prepare ourselves. And that is going to be a full disclosure, spoilers, because I really want to prepare you for how to approach that week, how to approach that story, and then, of course, what comes next. All right, so let's go over, of course, we have Wheat Week, Tomato Week, Beach Week, and Closing Week. We are going to dive right in to Wheat Week. Of course, you have your supply list there for August. Wheat Week, now I'm sure I have a few families, celiac families probably, who are going to groan and roll your eyes a little bit about Wheat Week. So I do apologize for that, but there are lots of great adaptations. Really, this week is about celebrating the harvest. It is one of those star turning weeks and one of those weeks that if you want to tie to some of those kind of traditional festivals like Lammas, You can. And so this is celebrating the harvest. You can absolutely replace all the wheat vibes with oats or millet or any other grains, really. And we have some suggestions through the week there. So I know I had some vegans saying, what about us on Butter Week? But don't worry, we didn't forget about you. So you can absolutely still adapt this even in a celiac household. So in Wheat Week, we're going to open up. And as I mentioned, this is a star turning week. So we're going to turn our star to that bright, deep gold. The last star turn of the year. We have our midsummer star turning song, which goes to the tune of Seasons Come, Seasons Go. That is a September song technically, but you can use it anytime you turn the star. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a little sample of how I sing our little star turning song to that melody. I sing it just more slowly as I turn the song. So this is our little midsummer star turning verse. Are we ready? Seasons come and seasons go, with our star we turn to show. Summer now is halfway through, autumn's on its way to you. So that's what I sing as I turn our star to gold. And we realize that summer is halfway through and on its way out, and we will be welcoming autumn very soon before we know it. All right, so star turning week, and we'll get into Wheat Week. All right, so we have our supply list here. I do have your note on wheat allergies for what you're going to supply, because I know even in the wheat we have a wheat crown activity, and I know you probably wouldn't even want to be handling those wheat stalks if you are a gluten-free family. So you can replace those even with flour stalks if you want. Is there a certain day you turn the star this time? This one, it's not as specific. I would probably say day 3 still, if you want them to be wearing their little wheat stalk crowns, your bread will be made. So that's still kind of a festival day. It's not as much of a big festival this time, but if you want to honor it, we typically do it on the 3rd day that week. Or of course you could do it on, I think August 2nd is the technical date, if you want to do that as well. All right, so I'm going to get into some of the story and the songs first, and then once I get into the recipes, I have some things to share for you there. So I'm going to dive straight into our story. So the story is the wheat harvest, and this opens up with golden rays across the golden grains, and Rudabug is sipping his tea in the morning, and it's really just this beautiful harvest scene. So all of the gnomes and fairies are working together, singing the Grains of Gold song, calling to each other across the field, and they are all harvesting and threshing. Hamilton and Morrison are grinding, and so this Grains of Gold song kind of really opens up the whole first part of the story as they are harvesting their grains and their wheat for the year. And then back at the work yard near Rudabug's house, Hamilton and Morrison are grinding those wheat grains. And then we have a sweet moment where we have Tourmaline coming to join Pearl and Puddlebloom as they begin to make their bread. And this is where we actually get our Make Our Bread song in the story. So it's actually fun to see one of our daily songs have a place here in the story. So those 3 get to sing Make Our Bread together. And it's just, of course, a really sweet, a simpler story, but a very sweet one about just how bread is made, the work it takes to go into it, and how such a simple thing really takes a lot of work. So it just helps really instill that gratitude for what we eat and for the earth and for the harvest. So Grains of Gold, your first song, and Make Our Bread, which should be very familiar to you all. Now heading into our lesson. So our first activity is wheat threshing. So if you get those little dried wheat stalks, and by threshing, I don't mean like you don't have to like be smacking it. Even if you just kind of rub, the goal here is for your child to really see and find those little wheat berries in the wheat stalks. And so you can see sweet Sophie's little hands here with the chaff on one side and those little wheat berries. And then save those wheat berries for wheat grinding later in the week. And it's kind of just a simple exploration activity to see, this is what wheat looks like in the grain in the field, and this is how we begin the process from turning it into grain to bread. Then our main lesson for our Living Arts Day is wheat grinding. So you can of course do this if you have one of those grinder mills. This is one thing that if you want to invest in, you'll use it again for corn week, or if you've got one for corn week, you get to use it again here, whichever kind of part of the year you're in. So you get to grind your wheat. If you have an actual like grain mill where you can like put it in, electric mills, I know a lot of people have those these days. So take the time for your children to try to see. Again, we want them to see from crop to food, all the processes that go in between for this food we eat so commonly, to really have a respect for what it takes to eat. So if you don't have one of those, you can also, even a mortar pestle, kind of just grind it by hand as much as you can, just to kind of show them the process or to give a little hint of what that process looks like. Now, our baking day, we're going to start off by making pesto because this does lead into one of the recipes, but we have actually a few recipe options. So this is something that you can use or skip depending on which recipe you choose, or you can choose all of the above. So we have a pesto recipe. Again, this is going to go into one of our bread recipes. We have a recipe here. I also have two different ways you can make this, one with a mortar pestle or two with a food processor. So instructions are there based on what you have. Of course, with a mortar pestle is great for kids to kind of see it, but the texture will be a little chunkier, so it's up to you. Sometimes I like to start with the kids so they can kind of see it and then finish it off in the food processor so it still gets nice and smooth. Details there, and then of course we have our nut and dairy-free pesto. Now, baking day, our main kind of lesson is pesto festival bread, which it's kind of a savory spin on our festival bread that we've made a few times before. But we have multiple options here because in our story, you'll notice that you'll notice that Pearl and Puddle Bloom kind of show this sticky web of things. And as we were writing the story, we realized, the gnomes wouldn't have little packets of yeast to make their bread. So of course, the kind of heritage heirloom way of making bread is sourdough bread. So we also wanted to make sure that we had that recipe in there. But I do have something to admit to you all. Now, this is something that I have carried some shame about and I've tried to work through. And so I ask for your grace as I share this. And it will take strength to share this, but I do not like sourdough bread. I think it's gross. So if you are a sourdough mama, I am not a sourdough mama. So if you have sourdough questions, I am not the one to ask. I'm so sorry. I've tried very hard to like sourdough bread, but I just do not like it at all. So that is my confession. Miss Lisa does not like sourdough. So I included our pesto festival bread for my liking with our typical active dried yeast, but I did think it was important to have sourdough bread in here for Wheat Week because it really would be how the gnomes would be making bread, because of course they wouldn't have little yeast packets. So thankfully I have a dear friend who does make sourdough bread. Miss Lisa, I know, I feel like I've just betrayed all of you. So I've come clean about my secret. No pickles or sourdough. Yes, none for me. So I have the sourdough recipe provided so lovingly by my dear friend Esther, who is a sourdough mama. Nathaniel loves this bread. Nathaniel loves sourdough. Thank you guys. But if you do decide to take on sourdough bread, I'm just not the person to ask. So if you have questions on the festival bread, I'd be happy to assist. But you'll have to talk amongst yourselves I'm sure there's other sourdough mamas in the group. But if you are going to do this, I know you have to start the starter and do a bunch of folding. So just plan that according to yourself. I can't guide you on that, but the recipe is here because we felt like it really honored the story, and it felt like it would be missing if we didn't have sourdough in here, because that is in fact how the gnomes would have made bread. So the sourdough recipe is in here, courtesy of my best friend. Thankful to her, and so you can try that out. We also have a gluten-free pesto festival flatbread. This kind of felt like an easy option that was really more gluten-free successful. So we have 3 kind of different recipes here because the festival bread was kind of tricky with gluten-free. So it sounds like someone also has gluten-free sourdough help in the chat. So we have lots of options for you this week because it's wheat week. So it was really the time to celebrate bread. So we have a gluten-free pesto festival flatbread. We have a classic sourdough bread, and you have my pesto festival bread. Lots of options to choose from. So lots of bread options for wheat week. So choose whatever you'd like. I'm sure we'll get a little sourdough chat happening in the recipe group if you need that. But yes, I will not be of assistance when it comes to sourdough, alas. So there's my big reveal. Yes. So, all right, but there's your recipes for baking day. Take whatever you please. And we will carry on with our day 3, which we will be making our wheat crowns, which will be very familiar if you were here in spring because the base is the same as those flower crowns. So you're essentially just taking a floral wire and braiding it. And if you do have your spring book, I have some other tips in there as well. Or if you have that crown base still from spring, you can reuse that because it's the same thing. So you're just braiding a crown base, and then what you do is you just kind of pull those little braided sections apart. As you see here in this photo, it kind of just gives those spaces to be able to stick things in. So that you'll be making your braided flower crown bases in the morning. Now, of course, if you were here for spring, this is a great chance to do this again with your children to kind of work on those handwork skills, those fine motor skills in something that's familiar they did last season. See if they can kind of start to begin to help you braid. Now, of course, this is one of those activities that if you have a 3-year-old, this is not an independent activity for them. This is something you're working on together, and you can kind of just see how their fine motor skills begin to develop over the course of the year. Now, our main activity for Wheat Week for Painting Day is making these beautiful wheat crowns. So this is where you'll take those dried wheat stalks. You can get these really at any craft store. Of course, they'll come in your supply kit box. And I have some instructions here on the next page, how you kind of stick these through and across. So you see how they're going to go in one side and come all the way across there. So you kind of have this spear going across on one side, and then you mirror it the other way on the other side, and it creates this beautiful, beautiful crown. And yes, you can use grass. Really, you can use any plant that you want, anything that you want kind of sticking up like that. Some grass is perfect. Really, flowers, stalks, grass, wheat, anything. The supply kit wheat stalks are also food grade. I think I'll have to kind of check on that. I'm not sure as far as like if you thresh them, if you grind that, if you'll want to actually eat that. I'm not sure. So I can double check on that for you. But the wheat stalks in the supply kit, their final form will be mostly for this activity, of course, but also you can use them at least for the experience of threshing. But good question. I will double check that. Those are going out soon, so we'll be able to answer that question for you. Yes, wheat stock crowns beautifully conclude our wheat week. So lots of recipes for you. I'll be excited to see which one you guys try and see those beautiful wheat crowns on those children. Okay, any questions for wheat week before I move on? I don't think so. All right, okay, on to tomato week. This is a fun week. Okay, so tomato week, this is a fun week with really fun songs and fun. I feel like I use that word too much, but I love it all. Okay, so tomato week, I will start with our song, with our, I have a note here that I wanted to say. Okay, so tomato week, we have a lot of, this is another one where we have a lot of recipes in our test group. I know someone says one of our favorites from our test group, but there was, it can be a kitchen heavy week where you're like making a ton of stuff. So you can look ahead. I have a lot of recipes in here for the Play-Doh and the sauce and the pizza and the salsa, all of these things. You don't have to make every recipe. Of course, this is summer, it's nearing the end of summer. Don't feel like you have to make every single thing from scratch. So just look ahead and kind of make note of which things you want to make from scratch and which things you want to do store-bought. Because if you want to buy your tomato sauce and your pizza dough, that's totally good. Just kind of plan ahead. So take a look and a glance of what recipes there are this week, what you want to make from scratch, and what you'd like to just buy so you can just really enjoy the activity. Totally up to you. So our story this week is Happy Tomatoes. And Rudabug is caring for the tomatoes, and there's kind of this Funny thing here, because of course tomatoes are technically a fruit. So there's a little backstory of they were in Petty Pom's garden, but now they're in Rudabug's garden, and he's caring for them, and they're doing much better now that they're with the vegetables. And the fairies greet Rudabug, or Rudy as they call him, which I think is adorable. But we kind of have, if you remember back in Potato Week, Rudabug had found Petty Pom, and Petty Pom didn't really like potatoes. And we kind of have a little the reverse here with tomatoes. And Rudabug doesn't really like tomatoes, which I think is perfect, because I know a lot of children actually don't like tomatoes. So if they don't like tomatoes, they are in good company with Rudabug, but it kind of helps prompt the song and prompt them to hopefully try some of these tomato recipes. So Rudabug doesn't love tomatoes, but Petty Pom says, well, have you tried cooking them? Just like Rudabug said to Petty Pom back in Potato Week. And then cue Hey Tomato, such a fun song. It's a blast. And then after that, they get cooking, and they're gonna make pizza, and it's gonna be fun. And then Ruby comes in. But have you ever tasted salsa? And then we have a salsa, which is, again, is just such a brilliant song, and it is so much fun. And just the cultural exploration themes here of music in the whole songs and all of summer songs are just incredible. But this week you really get a taste of both of those, and it's just potatoes is now one of my picky eaters' favorite now, because Petty Pom loved them. That is such a sweet anecdote. That's exactly what we hope for. And someone said salsa is their favorite reel on Instagram. That was a fun one. So fun. So it really, again, Hey Tomato says if you don't like to eat tomatoes, that's okay, but would you like to try tomatoes my way? So we are hoping that it kind of encourages an adventurous eating, and we have a lot of recipes in here that will encourage that. And then, of course, have you ever tasted salsa is so fun. So it gets them exploring new foods, and it gets them exploring, hopefully, some new song styles, especially when you're going to hear this one in the audiobook. I know Nathaniel is going to have a lot of fun with the instrumentation of this one, really bringing these song styles to life, as you've heard in some other songs of summer. So it's going to be a blast. You have Hey Tomato here, you have salsa here, your songs, and then we're going to dive into a lot of fun activities. So day one, we're going to go back to Play-Doh. We haven't done a ton of Play-Doh in summertime, but this is a perfect chance for Play-Doh. We're going to do pizza Play-Doh. This is really just red Play-Doh and white Play-Doh together to make little Play-Doh pizza. Super simple, but super fun. Really lovely little prompt for some creative food play. Your gluten-free recipe is here. Now, day one main lesson, one of those, if you can, go out and harvest some tomatoes. Go and grab some tomatoes from a local farmer's market if you can. Definitely, if you can find some locally grown tomatoes, backyard or local farmers market, anything like that would be ideal, or even just a local grocery store if that's what you have access to. But go pick out some tomatoes that you can use. You can also, if you're going to be making any of the other recipes in the rest of the week, like the pizza party or the salsa, you can look ahead and make sure if you're going out to the farmer's market, maybe grab some of those ingredients as well. Now, our day two is like our pizza party day. Now, another really fun thing about Tomato Week, if you want, is day 2 and day 3, you can also really lean into some cultural explorations here of the tomato. So if you want to kind of lean into day 2 being like your Italian day, if you want to dive into that culture a little more, add on maybe a little unit study or something like that, if you want to, this is a really great day to do it because it's kind of pizza party day. Turn on some Italian music. So in the beginning, our morning activity is going to be pizza topping sorting. So get all the pizza toppings you want and let them kind of sort what they're going to want, put some things in bowls, maybe slice up the tomatoes or the olives, and it can be a really, really fun time. Of course, this morning also, if you're making the pizza dough from scratch, you might want to start making this morning. I didn't build in the pizza dough making into the rhythm because I wanted it to kind of be up to you based on if you are choosing to do the homemade dough or not. It is a really yummy dough, by the way. This is the one that my family uses almost weekly for pizza night. So you can also make this dough the night before and keep it in the fridge and then bake it straight from the fridge. It's super simple. So look ahead for after the main lesson, we have our homemade pizza. So you can make that recipe the day before if you want, the morning of if you want, either work. So just make a note of that in your planning, that part of your morning activity might also be making the dough if you want. And then just preparing all of your ingredients. Someone said they made the dough overnight, put it in the fridge overnight. It really works great right out of the fridge. It is enough dough for 2 full pizzas. I did it with just 1 pizza and it was a really thick crust pizza. So you could do 1 really thick crust, you could do 2 normal crusts, or you could do lots of minis, and it's a really yummy recipe. So morning activity, prepare your ingredients however you'd like. And then main lesson is a pizza party. Have fun. Have your kids make their own pizza. It's a really just fun way for them to spread their sauce and make their own little creations. And then of course, it's gonna be so much more special for them to eat what they create, which I love. And some good prompts here on maybe exploring some new toppings for your families. There's lots and lots of different options here. So enjoy your pizza party. Again, if you wanna kind of lean into Italian night, very, very fun. Now, our day 3, and of course we have gluten-free options here. Day 3, if you want, this can kind of be Latin Hispanic twist on tomato, salsa, you know? So we want to think about how tomato is celebrated in so many different cultures, right? And so we're doing maracas, we're doing salsa, it's salsa. So if you want to lean into a Latin or Hispanic kind of celebration of the tomato, turn on some really fun music there. You can also do that, and it could be a really fun way to kind of do little cultural immersions for your child if you want to. So we are making these maracas, and these are really fun and really simple. Just a few supplies, some bamboo spoons, or you could use plastic spoons if you have them, plastic Easter eggs, some felt, little rubber band, and some yarn, and these come together really easily, and popcorn kernels. So I'll show you here and I'll kind of talk you through it because I only fit a few of these. So you're gonna take your little plastic Easter egg and just fill that with dried popcorn kernels. Your children can scoop that up and fill that. And then you see here how these little spoons are just sandwiching that little egg here, and then you just have a little rubber band to just tie that in place. Again, these can be bamboo spoons or plastic spoons, whatever you have works. Honestly, these could probably even be metal spoons if you needed to use spoons from your drawer. So fill that little plastic Easter egg with popcorn kernels and secure your little spoons and a rubber band. And then really you're just getting a piece of felt. You're going to cut a circle, but you want to make sure that it's big enough to like around your egg. So cut it bigger than you might think. You want a nice big circle, and you're going to just cover it completely over that little egg, and then it kind of comes down, and as you see here, it just kind of comes around, and you can secure it with another little rubber band too. And then you're just going to cover that where that felt comes together and wrap some yarn around it. It might kind of remind you of Apple Week or prepare you for Apple Week as you just wind this yarn around to kind of make your base, pull it nice and tight, tie a knot. You can thread your ends if you want. And gosh, we have a lot of delicious options here in the chat for pizza toppings. So if you're curious, my goodness, we have some wonderful suggestions. But back to maracas. So egg spoon, felt, yarn, really simple, but so much fun. They have a really nice sound to them that the plastic Easter egg and the corn and popcorn kernels really have a nice sound. They are super, super fun. And then of course you can enjoy those with the salsa song. But then of course we have to have a salsa party. So we got to make some salsa. So I have a mango salsa recipe here. This is not spicy at all. It's a nice sweet salsa. It is so delicious. It has tomatoes and salsa and tomatoes and mango, some cilantro and onions. It is and a dash of apple cider vinegar and lime juice. It is so good. It's like a sweet. It's really good. I personally tend to struggle with salsas because I don't like spice. I guess you're just all guys realizing that I have a really lame palate because I don't like pickles and I don't like sourdough and I don't like anything spicy. So this mango salsa is Miss Lisa approved. So it's no spice. Oh, you're all are gonna roast me now. I'm sorry. I do love normal bread. So this is Miss Lisa approved, kid approved mango salsa. It is sweet. It is not spicy at all. Of course, if you do like to add some spice, feel free. Or if you have another family favorite salsa recipe, please do that. The flavor of spice makes everything nice. I could do some cinnamon. I could do like sweet spices. It's all right. It's okay. Coming clean today, guys. See? But this is truly a really great mango salsa recipe, so enjoy it. It is very kid friendly. I think your kids will love it. If I love it, they should love it. And then, of course, enjoy your salsa party. Turn on some music, use your maracas, all of that. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you saying that. All right. Any questions on Tomato Week before we go to Beach Week? No? All right. Okay, so Beach Week. We're getting to the end here. Okay, Beach Week is really a beautiful week, and it starts at the end to kind of round the corner to the closing of our year, but it's still just a really sweet week, all right? So, Beach Week, let's get into it, okay? We have some fun activities here. So our story is Summer Goodbye. So there is, as I mentioned, kind of rounding the corner to some closure, but more for the season, okay? So we have Summer Goodbye. We start off with a beach day at the end of the summer. All right, the prima fairies are relaxing on the beach, and they're like, why didn't we come here early? They've been busy. And the primas lead off this beautiful song, The Beach, which really, it just is like the vibes of being at the beach. And I love that song. And then, of course, all the other friends come and they just have a lovely beach day. They're digging, they're splashing, and it's just a lovely beach day. They build forts, they build sandcastles, and it's just beautiful. But at the end, everyone's mood kind of starts to shift a little bit because they realize that summer is coming to an end. Now, this one is not where we're getting our spoiler alert yet, okay? This is still just, that's the next week, okay? We're close. But, okay, so the mood kind of changes because the season is ending. Now, if you have been here through the whole year, you do know already that in autumn, the fairies do leave. So the mood starts to shift here because we're realizing that summer doesn't last forever. And it's been this really beautiful season with their friends, with their fairies, with their new friends. And this one does start to get emotional. So here's where the tissues can start coming out. Because Summertime, that song, really is this kind of capturing of all the things that they've gotten to do with summer. And what I love about this song, Summertime, is it kind of mimics Summer Has Begun, where back the first song of summer, that opening, Petty Palm is so excited for the season and he lists off all the things that he can't wait to do for the summer. And then we get to spend this wonderful season together. And then you come here at Beach Week, the end of the season, and this Summertime song really sings through all the things they got to do together. And it's all those same things. And they get to just cherish all the fun and joy they've shared, but realizing that summer can't last forever. And that eventually the season is going to come to an end. And they're watching the sunset on the beach and realizing that soon the fairies are going to be going back. I know. And there's going to be changes. And, you know, even with our kids, we only get one summer per year with our kids. Like, this is the only year my little 2-year-old will be a 2-year-old in the summertime. And so with each year, we just get to kind of close the season and realize this is the only time it'll be this way. And we can look back on the season and just reflect on each of these special moments that will never really be the same. And we can look forward to some of those traditions the next year, but it will always just be a little different. And okay, now we're crying. And Nathaniel coming into, yeah, and it feels like, okay, we've had this summer, some friends are going to be going on in autumn, and it's just not going to be the same, you know, and autumn is coming again. And so it's just this closing of the season and really honoring the season of summer and what it is, because for a lot of kids, it's when they get to see their friends all the time. And it's when, you know, rhythms are loose and they get to do all of these sweet things and everyone's crying. And this is why we homeschool, so we never get to say goodbye. But we do get to just honor the season of summer and what it is. And for these friends in Wondergarten, that they're really realizing that this summer has been so special. They've had new friends. They've had Eliza and Morrison and all these fairies. Tourmaline is so sweet and young, and it's just a special time. So that is the closing. It's beginning to close the season and just really honor the time they've shared and the time you have shared with these friends, with your kids through the summer. And so there already is a lot of closure with this week. And then, of course, I'll get to next week soon. But yes, it is definitely already getting to some closure, already realizing that summer can't last forever. Okay, so all right, Sierra, don't get ahead of yourself. I'll get to that in a minute with our next week. Okay. Okay, y'all are getting ahead of yourselves. Whoa. Slow down. We're still in beach week, okay? Closing week is next week. We're in beach week, okay? So beach week, we're starting to realize that summer is ending. Okay, so our songs, the beach, lovely beach vibes, and then summertime is that kind of sunset on the beach, closing of summer. Right? So we have some fun activities. If you can, go to the beach, go get some sand. Our main lesson, our morning activity is sand play. So if you have a sensory bin, or if you want to go to a sandbox or a beach, play in the beach and play with some sand. And now class, stay patient. Yes, thank you, Christiana. So morning activity, sand play. If you are at the beach, little tip, snag some sand because you might need it for one of your other activities, okay? But encourage some sandcastle play. Classic, just make sure they're in the sand, however you have access to. Even if it's a sensory bin in your backyard, that totally counts. Now, for the beach, of course, sometimes we take towels. So we are gonna go back to an old classic for our main lesson for Living Arts Day, towel folding. And this one is always just really sweet. Let your children fold towels, especially with beach towels. You can fold them together. We have our corner to corner little rhyme here. Now there's two ways to sing this. The kind of OG Waldorfy one in the Mood of the Fifths is corner to corner, meet and greet, folding our towels so nice and neat. So you can sing it that version, or you can sing the fairies version, corner to corner, meet and greet, folding our towels so nice and neat. So whichever you'd like from Scrub-a-Dub or kind of our OG Waldorf Mood of the Fifths one. Take your pick. But you can sing that as you fold your towels. It's just a lovely life skill that never goes away, right? How many times are we folding towels in our lives? So get that back out. If you're going to the beach, have them fold your towels with you before you go on. And then our day 2, we have these really sweet sand prints. And I love this because it feels like capturing their sweet little footprints in the sand, as they're only going to be this small for this year. So it's just a really sweet keepsake. And so it's like footprints in the sand that you just get to keep. So grab some sand. And I know you're going to cry over an activity. I'm sorry, guys. Grab some sand. If you're a Supply Kit subscriber, or if you're getting a Supply Kit, we will have some clean play sand in there for you, or grab some sand for the beach or whatever you have. Mix that. You're kind of going to make a sand salt dough and roll that out. Squish their cute little fingers and their cute little feet in there. Put some seashells and then dry it out like you would any salt dough. It's really simple, but it's just a really sweet memento for the year and for the season. Then we have these really cute and sweet and yummy sand dollar sugar cookies, which have sliced almonds to make the little sand dollar shape. Of course, if you have a nut allergy, you can omit those or kind of try to find something else to replace that might kind of give that effect. But they're really, really yummy, and they really look like sand dollars. So they're really, really fun. So ingredients are here, recipe is here, and swaps are here. Now for the beach, of course, what better place to fly a kite? Fair warning, they don't last long at all. Those cookies will go quickly. Kite paper kites. I am so excited about these kite paper kites because they are just stunning. They're just beautiful with the sun and these colors. They're just lovely. So I'll walk you through step by step here as I'll kind of show you, because it can be kind of one of those things that feels a little tricky to look through, but I'll talk you through it. Okay, so part 1 of kite paper kites is you're just gonna make a big grid of kite paper. Just tape the seams together. You can pick whatever colors you want and make a nice big grid that's gonna be slightly bigger than how big you want your kite, okay? Step 2 is you're gonna get some sticks. And you'll want one that's like longer and one that's shorter. Okay, so let's flip this way. You're going to do one that's like long for the top and one that's this way to kind of make that kite cross, okay? So depending on how long your sticks are, make sure the length of your sticks correlates with the length of your kite paper patchwork grid, okay? Then you're going to tie that stick together, okay? And then you're going to lay it down on your kite paper grid, okay? And then we're going to create a string frame. Now this part can be tricky, but you see here in the picture, let's kind of see this. You're going to take that string and you're going to go across and around the outside of those sticks to make that string frame. Now if you want, it can be, an adult can take the end of that stick and kind of carve a little knife right in the edge of that stick so the string has somewhere to kind of notch into. If you want, some sticks you can kind of just shimmy it in there, but if you want to carefully create a notch. So take your string around, okay? And then you're gonna tie that off if you wanna kind of tie it or tape it, hot glue it, secure it. So you've created your cross of your sticks and a string frame around it. Then lay that down on your kite paper grid. And as you see here in step 5, trim around with like about 1 inch or 2 of access between your string frame and where you're cutting. So you want to make sure you have some excess there. I would recommend go on the side of more than less, but cut around that string frame so you have your diamond shape of your kite paper. And then you're just going to fold that excess over the string, and you can secure it with glue or even tape is really easy, but you're just going to fold over. It does help if you kind of snip each corner so each one can fold independently of itself. All right, so then once you do that, you'll have your nice little kite frame. Then you're gonna tie your tail. Just tie a string at the bottom, however long you want. Tie little ribbons along as you go. And then take a big roll of string and tie it to the center of the cross of the kite. And there you have your kite. Now, these are not guaranteed to fly, of course. Nathaniel was a little frustrated that they didn't fly perfectly when we took him to the beach. But I still think they're so lovely and so fun. You can see my son here just running with it, and they're just beautiful to hang. They're fun to make. So I think you can still absolutely enjoy them. You can go ahead and give it a try if you're somewhere windy. But getting a perfectly aerodynamic kite can be tricky. So enjoy the process of making. I think they're stunning. They're a great, some leftover ribbon. So you can use your leftover ribbon for the tails, and really, really fun activity, okay? Day 3, our final lesson for beach week is beach watercolor painting. This uses a few techniques to kind of create a beach effect on your watercolor. So you'll need your standard watercolor supplies. So you'll do your wet on wet where you soak the paper. You'll need blue and yellow. So you're going to paint blue on one side, and then if you dip some rubbing alcohol on top of that, it's going to kind of create this watery ocean effect. You can also take a straw and blow towards the blue, and it'll kind of create a wave effect. And then over here, you're going to paint some yellow, and then you're going to sprinkle some coarse salt, and that's going to kind of soak up some of the pigment. And then once that's dry, it'll create a sand effect. So we have a few effects here. You're going to be blowing, you're going to be dropping rubbing alcohol, you're going to sprinkling salt, and then all of those together kind of create this cool oceany beach painting. Of course, you can choose how much blue and how much yellow and where your child wants to paint your beach, but that's kind of the idea. So you really want to make sure this is a wet on wet, so soak your watercolor paper first and paint your liquid blue, because you want to be able to blow that blue away to kind of create the wave ripple, and then drop your rubbing alcohol and it'll make a really cool effect, and then paint your yellow and sprinkle your sand, your salt to make the sand, and it is just kind of a cool effect, all right? Okay. Are you ready? Closing week? I don't know if I'm ready. I'm gonna take a sip. All right, so it is closing week for the year. I can just be done. No. Okay, so there's so much to unpack here. First, before I actually get into it, I want to recap what a rose ceremony is and the kind of tradition in Waldorf education and Waldorf schools, and what that is. So before I actually get into the story, before I spoil anything, before I get into anything, I'm just going to give you some context of what a rose ceremony is, because you'll see this kind of woven throughout this week. So a rose ceremony is inspired by a ceremony that is done in actual Waldorf schools. And it is a really sweet ceremony that honors the moving up child, specifically from kindergarten to first grade. And this can be done in many ways, but typically in Waldorf schools, They have one grades teacher that will take one class from 1st grade to 8th grade. So it is an 8-year journey with that teacher in that class. And instead of a typical graduation ceremony like in May, Waldorf schools typically do this rose ceremony at the end of summer or the beginning of the school year to honor those moving up children. And what they'll do is they'll have the child start with a rose and take it to and give it to their new teacher who they're going to spend the next 8 years with. And it's a really, really precious way to kind of honor that relationship. Of course, you can, oh, someone said we have technical difficulties now. Pause. Are we good, everyone? I want to make sure. Several people are typing. I want to make sure we're good. I don't know if that's just Carrie or if... No, it's a joke. Okay. Okay. Oh, I see. Are you getting blurry vision? Don't do that to me. Okay. We're good. Okay. So back to it. I see you're crying and the screen is blurry. Anyway, so you could honor it that way. It's okay. Or we've done here in our photos that you'll see, you can honor the child by having them start and walk across a bridge and receive their rose and their little certificate. So it is similar to a graduation ceremony, a moving up ceremony, etc. So that is what a rose ceremony is. And that's just some context. All right. So are we ready? My heart's beating. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get into the story. So are we ready for I know some of you have probably read ahead, but I'm going to just let you all know what is going to happen in the story. Petty Pom is getting ready to leave the garden. Okay? So the time has come for our young gnome to go off on his journey beyond the garden and to depart and to begin his coming of age journey to grow into his beard. So we will be saying goodbye to our dear young friend, Petty Pom, in this story. So it is an emotional one, but there's a lot of reasons for this in this story, okay? So this is here at the end of this year because, of course, our children don't stay in the garden forever, do they? And we cherish their time in the garden, but there comes a time where we have to let them grow and support them as they begin to step beyond the garden and to see the world around them and to see what is out there. And the chat is quiet. I know, I've noticed. And so this is what the story is honoring, right? Because we know as much as we want to keep our children in our homes, in our garden, in early childhood where everything is safe and protected, there does come a time where it becomes necessary for them to begin to step out and to grow up. And so this story is really written to honor that transition. And it is written to just make space for this transition, especially if you have a child who's moving up from early childhood to 1st grade, or if you even have older siblings or older children. Graduations happen, weddings happen, our children are gonna grow and move on, and that is a part of life. And it's hard, but it's important. And so that is what we have happening here, where Petty Pom, of course, has been our young chipper gnome, our beardless gnome. But within this little world, if you got hints back in winter, you heard that Puddle Bloom went on a journey and grew into his beard on Winter's Peak. So it is time for Petty Pom to leave the garden and begin his journey to Winter's Peak to be able to grow into his beard. I know. So this is big. Now, I want to process this a little with you all because this story is really written for the child who's transitioning, okay? Who's ready for a move up, who this story will make sense to, or for children who are seeing their older siblings beginning to move up and move on. Now, if you are newer to us this summer, or if you still have younger children, like 2 to 3, or even, just think about your child and where they are in your life. And you might skip this story this year, okay? I'm gonna give you permission. This story is a more mature story because it is stepping towards that transition out of the garden. So if your child is still in the garden, they're staying here, then you can end on Beach Week because that has closure. We end with summer goodbye. There's goodbye to the season. We know the fairies will leave in autumn. We know things are going to be different, but we can stay there. And that story gives us closure. Okay. So if you think that this is going to be too heavy for your child, or if they're just not ready for this concept yet, you can end on Beach Week, take a week off, and start again in Bread Week, and you'll be so excited. I do have some tips how you could integrate some details in the end of this story if you and how these stories will connect, okay? But if your child is moving up and is moving on, or if you have older siblings in your family who are moving up and on, then you can use this story to support those things, okay? So, yes, you have permission to skip the story if it doesn't suit your family this year. Absolutely, because this is just a more mature concept. This is meant to be the first kind of step towards just more maturity, okay? This is not the same level of kind of innocence as the rest of our stories that are kept within the garden. So if you're like, that is too much for my kid, they're 2, they're 3, or if you just started with us this summer and it's like, I'm still just getting to know these people, these characters and these fairies and these gnomes, you can wait. Spend another year in the garden and use this story when it makes sense for your child and your family. The spirit won't grow itself. So keep that in mind, okay? Now, there are some details that I don't want to spoil, okay, at the very end of this story that are the bridge that bring it back around, that is going to make it so sweet and so special for you to start back around into Bread Week, because these stories are meant to loop, okay? So I'm not going to give this one away because I want you to experience this yourself, either reading it or listening to it, okay? So there's one more detail at the very end of the story that that's yours and your experience. I'm not going to spoil that part, okay? So, but that is the part that is going to make your jaw drop and just like, it's going to change everything for you and make you so excited to start again. And also remember, when you start again, Petty Palm's coming back in Apple Week. It's only 1 week that he's gone, right? Okay? So what it does is it'll make your experience going back through the year again so incredibly special, and it'll give you such a new perspective on reliving these stories, okay? So if you want to read it yourself, now if you are planning to skip this story, I might still recommend on very bottom of page 508, you could fudge a few words and take a few details out and read your child the very last piece that, again, I'm not going to spoil. But if you want to bring that bridge in from summer goodbye to the next week, you can, or you could wait completely. But the last, like the end of page 508 and page 509 is just brilliant, and it will change everything for you, and it'll truly make you so excited to start over, and it'll make going through the year so incredibly special. But I'm going to let you experience that yourself, okay? And you could still wait till the audiobook comes out until you hear it. So you can take all of this, chew on it, read ahead if you want, and figure out what's going to be best for your children at this age and this year, knowing that if you need to just loop and not even touch this last story for a few years, you can do that. If you're ready to tackle it, it'll bring up some questions. There'll be a lot to talk through. And even with the songs, it's just something that we do want to honor because this is a part of life. And we would be delusional if we thought that we could just stay in the garden forever with our children, as much as we wish we could. But this is something that your children are going to experience either firsthand this year or seeing older siblings, and eventually they'll get that itch to move up and move on. All right? So, big spoilers out. Petty Palm is growing up. He's going to leave. But there's still that one piece that I'm going to leave for you at the very end of the story that's going to really tie it together, and it is really, really special, okay? So I'm going to go through now kind of my typical, I'm going to go through songs, I'm going to go through lessons, and then I'm going to go into kind of what's next, okay? Because I'm sure you're also now like, wait, what's next? He's leaving, right? Okay, so our first song is The Mountain Calls. This is a fairly mature song in the context of our little early childhood space, right? The yearning in this song I believe belongs on Broadway, just belting it out, because this is where Petty Palm is really beginning to feel that call of he doesn't really want to leave home, but he kind of knows he needs to, and he's realizing that he needs to go beyond and go see what is out there, and grow up in a way that he can't do in the garden. And so this song is just that yearning. It's that song that he's realizing that it's time, okay? And then he talks with Eliza, and she kind of encourages him. They're these friends who've become such close friends, and she tells him when she had to jump out of the nest, and now she could fly. And then he realizes that it is time, and he goes and speaks with Puddle Bloom, and they realize, oh my goodness, it's time. Okay, then we have part 2 of the story. So the audiobook finale will be released in 2 parts. Part 2 of the story where this ceremony is beginning, and they're going to send him off. And we have this scene of the rose ceremony, and that's where you get the song, "The Day Is Here." Now, "The Day Is Here" is a tearjerker of a procession. This is graduation song at its best. It could be graduation vibes. It could be eventually wedding vibes if you want it to be that. It is just procession of, this is a ceremony where we're honoring the moving up and moving on, okay? And so they all gather around Petty Pom, but Petty Pom doesn't want to go alone. And so there is this sweet moment where Petty Pom and Eliza are going to go together. She's going to join him as his friend, still just friends, guys, as his friend, and they are going to commit to support each other as they go off beyond the garden together. And so all the gnomes and fairies are coming along Petty Pom, ready to send him off. This song will make you weep, especially if you try singing it to your little one. And then the last song is goodbye. Okay. There's one little word change, and if you've heard it on the Songs of Summer album, it's just, now we say goodbye. I'm not going to read it because I'll cry, but we end with goodbye, okay? And then I'll let you read the last part of the story and how it wraps up. But then we have said goodbye to Petty Pom, okay? Read the last part of the story or listen to the last part of the story, and you'll be so excited to come back around to Bread Week and do this all again and stay in the garden just a little longer. And what I love that this does as parents is that this reminds us that our children won't be staying in the garden forever. But if we still have littles, then we get to soak it in. We're still here. We still get to stay in the garden at least one more year. We still get to enjoy this, and it lets us savor it in a special way as we've just seen Petty Pom leave and then just realize, oh, I get to start back at Bread Week. I get to go back to Apple Week and sing the apples are ripe and make apple cake with Petty Pom because we're not moving on just yet. And so if you still have little ones, coming back around, I think will be so, so special, okay? So I'm going to go through lessons, and then I'm going to touch on kind of what's next, okay? I have some questions here. I have one more time in the garden this year, I know. Okay, I'm going to get to questions more at the end because I do want to make sure I get through all of these things. Okay, so our lessons are much less, are still a lot of fun, things this week. We're going to start with bubbles, our last just free bubble time of the season. Use up those last bubbles. Our main lesson is these sunflower window stars. These are really beautiful because the mountain calls. Petty Pom is sitting up on a sunflower and watching the sunrise. And so the sunflowers, of course, those just beautiful, beautiful. And how do we balance a grade 1 person graduating but a small brother circling? Read the end. Read the end. It'll work perfectly. I promise you. Or wait to read the end until you hear the story. Your choice. But I promise you, it will all go beautifully. Okay. And I'll get to more like what's next in a little bit. Okay. So sunflower window stars, kite paper, and window crayons come together to create these beautiful window sunflowers. So you're going to fold your kite paper in the same way you fold a star, and you can essentially make 2 8-point stars. You can do 2 of the same color or 2 of different colors and then just align them slightly off like this. Fold one of the dark pieces, it's kind of that blackish brown, tape it in the middle, and then stick it to your wall or stick it to your window, and it's beautiful. And then let your children color the stems and the leaves with those window crayons, and it is just, they're really, really beautiful, especially that late late summer sun coming through. They're just gorgeous, okay? Then day 2, morning activity is going to be sunset painting. I know it's not technically painting day, but of course we're kind of shuffling things because this is our ceremony week. So you're going to prepare your paper for wet on wet, and you're just going to paint this beautiful gradient, starting from yellow and painting from warm to cool to create this beautiful sunset. And then you can either do 2 things. If you have construction paper like black or brown, you can have your child cut out little shapes, or if you don't have that, you can just paint a piece of watercolor black and then do the same thing, cut out those shapes, and then once everything is dry, you can tape these on and you get this beautiful little silhouette sunset effect on this. That again, just kind of sunset, kind of closure of summer, right? And then we have one of my favorite recipes. This is my signature recipe, Fruits of the Garden pie. It has all the berries plus apple and rhubarb. It is delicious. And you have my pie crust recipe, which might be familiar to some of you from autumn. You have that here again, and the gluten-free version. And then Fruits of the Garden pie. This is my one of my signature pies that I usually make every year in the summertime. It has strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, apple, and rhubarb, and it is just absolutely delicious. I have some tips here if you want to, you can either do kind of a looser tartar pie or a sweeter, firmer pie. So there's some options here as far as quantities of sugar and starch there, but it is so yummy. Some dietary swaps for you. And then our final day for day 3 of closing week is our rose ceremony. So in the morning activity, this can be whatever you want it to be. This is prepare however you want. You can put a silk around their neck, put a crown on their head, pick some roses. I do have a ceremony certificate, a free printable that you can scan here, or it is also in our community in the additional resources tab. It's a PDF that you can find and print, fill out their name. You can use that as you wish. So prepare for your day however you want. And then main lesson is a rose ceremony. Now, I know some of you might have swapped to do this in late spring, so this is just your last day to do whatever you want with. Or if you are skipping this week, you might just still be on beach week, but just savor the closing of a beautiful season, and especially if you've been here through the whole year, beautiful, beautiful year. Yes, you can also do the fruit festival twice if you want. Okay. And then the last page after this is going to make you cry because it's the goodbye song. Okay, so we've processed a lot, but I'm not going to leave you hanging here, right? Because Petty Plum's leaving? What now, right? So I assure you that while this is the end, in a way, this is also just the beginning, okay? So I'm going to tell details on 2 things here. First, I know we have some practical questions about, well, what about like grades curriculum and how this affects that, okay? So in grades curriculum, you'll kind of be following Hamilton in learning how to read and write through the year. So he will be recalling his time back in spring or back in summer when the fairies and the gnomes were teaching him to read and write and do math. And so you'll get to recall these stories in that way. So the grades curriculum will still tie back to the original storyline. And you won't really notice that anyone's gone because most of it is him recalling, oh, back in the spring, Pearl taught me this, you know, and those stories are still very loose. It's a test group, and Nathaniel hasn't really gotten in there to put his touch on those, and Rachel has done a great job drafting those. But that's kind of the idea of part of the grades curriculum, especially first grade, is that you're learning to read and write with Hamilton as your children are learning to read and write. Okay, so that's kind of my first, practical detail for grades, that you'll be able to use that curriculum without a beat, okay? Now, will the curriculum be the same resources for next year, or will we be supplementing? So this, if you're talking about early childhood curriculum, this is cyclical. This is the same, and you can loop, same supplies, all of those things, and you get to just enjoy it year after year. And I really do believe that it gets better year after year. I think the first year is always exciting, it's new, it's fresh, but when you get to go and do it again, you get to see those familiar activities, you get to see your children grow in that. Last year I had to help them, and now they're doing it more independently, and in 1 year you'll be amazed at how these songs and stories and recipes become tradition and become these anchors of your year. And when you're making apple cake again, it's going to be so sweet and these songs will just mean so much more to you, okay? So those practical details. Now, I would like to share some more into the future things, okay? Are we ready? So, Petty Pom is leaving the garden in these stories. And while this is kind of the this is the conclusion of these stories here. This is also really just the beginning. Because all of these stories, these 48 stories, and the seasons of the Gnomes of Wondergarten here, these are really actually 48 chapters of book 1 of the Gnomes of Wondergarten novel series that Nathaniel will be writing. So this is just the beginning. So we will get multiple books that will continue on Petty Pom's journey, and your children will be able to essentially grow up with Petty Pom on his journey as we get to see what happens beyond the garden. So while this closes, it's just book 1. Book 2 is coming. Book 3 is coming. And there will be multiple books in this whole series that you will get to follow Petty Pom to Winter's Peak and back and see. Oh my gosh, our chat just blew up. Oh my gosh. And you will get to see his whole journey. And within that storyline, you will get to hear Puddlebloom's story, Pearl and Puddlebloom's story, and Puddlebloom's journey, Thumbkin and Rudabug's journey. You will get to hear so much more about this greater world of Wondergarten, in the garden, beyond the garden, and all of it. This is just the very, very beginning. And there is so much more to come. And yes, Eliza is coming with Petty Pom, so you will get to see Petty Pom and Eliza's adventures all the way up and see, yeah, everyone just entered the chat. Woo! Mic drop. Book 1 of the Gnomes of Wondergarten novel series. Now, what is so special and exciting about how these will be written? Obviously, this book 1 of these 48 stories that you all know and love have been written to serve the child in the age of goodness, where they are in the garden, and we have gotten to see them learn so many moral lessons of community and how to be good friends. And these stories were written to meet them where they are in this early stage of their lives. These next novels will be written to continue meeting the child where they are as they grow up with Petty Pom. So book 2 will be written for the 8-year-old. Book 3 will be written for the 9-year-old, and the books will slowly become more and more mature as you see Petty Pom begin to face things further beyond the garden, because our job as parents in the age of beauty, 7 to 14, of course, in the age of goodness, we're protecting them and instilling these, foundation of goodness in them. But from 7 to 14, by the time they're 14, it is our job to make sure they are ready for what's beyond the garden, and they are ready for the world around them. And so what this will do is you will get to go through in pace of their age and development and learn the same depth of moral lessons that will meet them at that age as they're seeing their friend Petty Pom learn and grow beyond the garden and become, I can't say a man, but to grow as he goes on to this. So by Petty Pom mugs. So this is just the beginning, and these stories and these novels will continue in depth as your child grows. They'll continue in maturity and will continue to meet your child where they are as they grow from 7 to 14 before they enter the age of truth. So don't worry. This is just the beginning of the story. But what this does is this gives our children someone they know and love and trust. These gnomes are their friends. They've spent a year with them. So Petty Pom is someone that they have this connection to. So when they get to see him go beyond and face these challenges, it's going to resonate more deeply, and they're going to be able to learn those lessons in a deeper way because it's someone that they grew up with, someone that they baked apple cake with in the garden, someone that they danced in the beehive with, right? And so they will get to learn and grow with him. And then again, you'll get to learn Thumbkin's story, Rudabug, Puddlebloom, Pearl, so much more. And it'll really give much deeper context to who these characters are. Okay. Yes. All right. So there it is, friends. The mic drop moment, the big announcement that this is just in fact the very beginning. Okay. So lots more to come. Lots of questions that I probably won't be answering yet. I've already given you a lot. And of course, timeline for this is loose. We want to let Nathaniel really enjoy this process of exploring these stories as they begin to get more mature. But I can tell you, it's going to be really good because it's going to be really good. All right. So even while the emotions will be there, while we bid Petty Pom farewell, you can know that it's not the end. And I hope that will give you a little bit of solace. Harry Potter, who? Gnomes of Wondergarten, where it's at. And, I remember seeing kind of posts about how us as millennials, when we were seeing the Harry Potter books and movies come out, it was something so special about, we did kind of get to grow up with those characters because the actors were growing up through the books, and there's such a special connection with that series to our generation. And we definitely, we hope to do something similar to this generation of starting with a character from early childhood and really growing and having these come out as they grow. So lots of exciting things to come, friends, and really fun. And I can just tell you, Nathaniel is so excited to be able to get into writing these stories, and they're really going to be incredible. So, all right. And do you think these will come out this year? No, it's going to be a little while because, of course, he has to write it and then edit it and then all of that. So no timeline on this. We're going to let him take his time and enjoy. And take a breather after the audiobooks are done. We both have been on lots of deadlines for the past few years. So that the novels are really going to be his passion project to be able to just pour himself in and write as creatively and freely as you want. So we're very excited. Hi, Maggie. Someone wants to say hi. Hi, Maggie. So thank you all for being here and for sharing this excitement. This was something that we've been really excited to share for a long time. And ambassadors got the little hints beforehand, but it's really exciting to share that this is just the very beginning of a really long journey, hopefully with all of you and your children, not only through the grades, but then just through their whole childhood journey as they grow up. All right. So, lots and lots to come. So another last thing before I go, as far as next year for live streams, I will be continuing at least our seasonal planning live stream. So I will be back on August 3rd on that back to school sale day for our autumn planning, because each year the curriculum stays consistent here, but of course the calendar kind of shifts. So it's kind of hard to know how do I line up my week. So I will be back on August 3rd to go over autumn planning with you. And then you will at least see me once a season for those seasonal planning overviews where I kind of take you through the calendar, give you suggestions on how to line up your weeks based on what festivals you might be celebrating, etc. I also might hop on for maybe some discussion, some Q&As, who knows what I might have time or energy for. So live streams aren't going away. They might not be quite as frequent as they were this year. Again, I've done 20 of these live streams in the past year. Woo! So we now have an incredible replay library full of high quality content for you to go back through for all the monthly overviews, week by week, craft overviews, all of that. So if you are newer coming in or even repeating, you will be well supported with that entire library of content. Gosh, lots of chats here. Yay! Woohoo! But you will see me in a few weeks, and then you'll at least see me once a season, if not a few more times. We'll see what we have time for. But I always really enjoy spending this time with you all, connecting with you all. It truly is our joy, and it just brings this community life and makes it really a special place to be. And I love getting to connect with you. So thank you all for being here. This was a really fun one. Thank you for braving through the tears, but I also hope you feel really supported and prepared for how these stories end and how this season will conclude, so you can make the decision that's going to feel right for your family with context of what is coming for the future. All right, friends, thank you. Have a happy rest of your July, happy August, and I will see you soon. Hopefully you'll join me for autumn planning. Remember to mark your calendars, so August 3rd, both days, both things that day, autumn planning and back to school sale, lots of amazing things. And keep an ear out for those audiobooks and for the release schedule of the 2-part finale of the Gnomes of Wondergarten audiobooks this year. So thank you, friends, for everything, for your support and your love and your excitement. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time.